The Pathless is a beautiful, breathtaking and enchanting experience developed by Giant Squid, makers of the critically acclaimed Abzu, a game that I haven't played but have heard many brilliant things about. Launching alongside the PS5 back in November, I had the Pathless at the top of my pile of shame, and since there's almost nothing out at the moment, I finally had time to pick it up and play through it. And I'm so thrilled to say it was worth doing so, because the Pathless is absolutely tremendous. The Pathless is exactly what you'd expect from a game with a title like that and visuals like this. There is no minimap and there are no objective markers telling you where to go. It's just you, the last hunter, and your trusty eagle companion. Equipped with a bow and arrow, you'll start off by watching a brief cutscene of the hunter approaching a far-off land, in hope to reclaim the light that has been stolen from the world. Soon you'll let loose on a beach and able to soak up the view that stands in your way. Waterfalls crashing against the rocks, sharp moonlight piercing through the clouds above, and a menacing floating isle will quickly make an impact on you. A brief moment later, you'll have your first run-in with the many talismans scattered throughout the landscape. Shooting one of these will build up your stamina meter, allowing you to sprint a hefty distance. Overarching all of what you've experienced in the first few minutes is the enchanting and masterfully created score by Austin Wintory. Everything I've mentioned so far is the hook of the Pathless. If you enjoyed Journey or exploring Hyrule in Breath of the Wild, or the visuals of Gris, or are looking for a game that allows you to relax and be taken in by the art design, music and slick controls, then the Pathless will be right up your alley. Unlike most open-world games these days, the Pathless feels so devoid of fat. There is no bloating to be seen or felt here. You can tell the developers had a precise vision in their mind and knew exactly how to execute it with near flawlessness. The structure is basic but offers enough reward, variety and enjoyment to keep you engaged during the 6 to 8 hour runtime. There are 4 main biomes to explore and cleanse the curse of, each of which are visually distinct with rolling green hills, towering pastel trees, decrepit castles, icy tundras and barren landscapes. They all offer a great sense of discovery and freedom to move around, even if you're doing the same thing in each of them. Progression comes in 2 different flavours: golden orbs that are akin to Breath of the Wild's Korok seeds. These are plentiful and can be found spotted from a great distance, hidden behind some type of basic puzzle. Whether that is shooting bells in a specific order, covering a short distance without touching the ground, or igniting a set of beacons. That's not all of the puzzles, of course. I'd say there are about 10 different types of puzzles you'll cycle through. Obtaining these golden orbs will fill your eagle's flap meter, allowing you to soar an additional time while in the air. The other collectibles are a set of keys, distinct to each biome, and once you've collected enough, you can bring them to the top of an obelisk to clear the evil that is roaming in the area. The puzzles that accompany these tend to be more elaborate and lengthy, but never too challenging. The large majority of puzzles here are either line of sight based, finding weights for your eagle to activate pressure plates, or moving mirrors to the right location for your arrows to ricochet off. Giant Squid has made all of this as accessible as possible by not requiring any precision aiming on the part of the player. Where to shoot and what target to hit is auto-targeted, and arrows will bend and curve in the right direction if you're standing in the correct place. It's a strange decision for a system built around a bow and arrow, but it works surprisingly well. I never found myself getting annoyed that the game wasn't doing what I wanted it to. Any struggles I faced was because of my own incorrect timing on some of the mechanical puzzles. All of this works in Giant Squid's favour, as this isn't a puzzle-focused experience. They're instead used to pace the adventure you're moving through, and I think that's the right decision, because the Pathless is trying to get you in a zen state. It's not trying to challenge you, or break you, or beat you down so success rings out louder. While exploring the world and solving puzzles, you'll get caught in a raging firestorm that moves around at will. This represents the mini-boss that is in each biome. Like I mentioned earlier, there are 4 biomes, and so there are 4 bosses that you need to take down before making your way to the God Slayer in the titular floating isle. Once the storm has digested you into the fiery belly, your eagle will become stranded. This begins a stealth section that requires you to slowly make your way to your companion while staying still in the light of the creature lurking around you. Much like how the puzzles are designed, these encounters exist to pace the adventure, but this is where the game stumbles the most. The first few times you encounter this, it can be quite intense and thematic, but the effect quickly wears thin. For starters, I'm not sure if I was just unlucky or wasn't paying attention, but it felt like I was getting caught in the storm every 15 minutes, which got extremely tedious, and instead of pacing me to the next puzzle, the next story beat and the next unlockable, it instead felt like an unskippable quicktime event that took all too long to complete. Secondly, the 4 mini-bosses that all have bespoke and uniquely different designs all offer up the same hazard, making each biome's threat blend together in an unfavourable way. Overall, it doesn't ruin the game, and honestly it's not that big of a problem, it just too often took me out of exploring this gorgeous world and listening to the enchanting music. Thankfully, the bosses aren't a complete miss, as their chase sequences through the rolling hills that require you to shoot specific weak points on their bodies are visually interesting and thematically engaging. They all also offer a second phase that is distinct from one another, whether that is trying to dodge projectiles while shooting an exposed area, or hiding behind rubble while the boss looms over you. And again, this is all punctuated by Austin's dazzling and radiant score. The Pathless may be esoteric as a whole, but it's the most mainstream esoteric game that I can think of, offering up a few basic ideas that has made something greater than the sum of its parts. The gameplay is not very inventive, and I'm almost certain everyone has played with mechanics like these before in many other games, but with a visual style that is truly breathtaking, expansive landscapes that are a joy to explore thanks to some tight fluid controls, interesting puzzles that never require too much from you, but still give you the satisfaction you're looking for when completing a puzzle, and a soundtrack that elevates the entire experience to new heights and will inevitably be put on repeat long after finishing the campaign, makes The Pathless an unmissable experience for anyone who enjoys this type of game.